So Dave, I'm thinking about Songbridge, and I'm wondering, how are you going to help someone who isn't a musician?
Well, I believe music is universal, and that anybody who signs up, assuming they've got some years on the planet, they have some musical opinions. So we're going to find out what you like, what your tastes are, and we'll start to zero in on what your song would be. There's plenty of people who can play chords, get you some accompaniments. We can send you some MP3s of examples of things to use, or we'll make something in class. I could sit here and play something on the piano, and I'll make a little bed for you to write to. But it's not about complexity, it's about joy. And it's about being able to really enjoy the experience of feeling like, hey, if you were a kid showing up with finger paints, what would you do?
Well, there's a famous quote from, I think it's Woody Guthrie said, any great songwriter can write a song with just 2 chords. With the really, really great ones, use 3.
Right. Well, and I would say true, and James Brown could do it with 1, Sometimes it's like, I saw Lionel Richie talking one time, and he said, you're a songwriter if you hear something when you do this. Like, can you just start to hear something might be happening?
I just wrote 3 songs.
There you go. Yeah, see? Perfect. I love it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, like, who are the type of people that you imagine enjoying this class? Because you've seen so many different musicians come through Jam Academy.
What a great coincidence. So this, not rehearsed. I was just thinking of asking you a similar question.
Okay, well, you go first and then I'll go.
Well, no. Actually, it's the same question. So my answer is the kind of person is the same kind of person as I am. I walk around the house humming melodies. I walk around the house. It's not always lyrics, but it's always some music. And that's where all my songs would start.
Right.
I would oftentimes start with music and then do, the Paul McCartney style of just putting in vowel sounds and fake words until I get something together. So I picture that kind of a person who's just always humming and always grooving, right?
Right. And what I love about that visual is it's joyful. That's what I'm picturing. Like, I definitely have written songs in my kitchen. I didn't believe it was going to happen that way, and in some class I took, the guy said, well, try to write a song in your kitchen as you're cooking, and I started singing, and lo and behold, it happened. But it was also a joyful experience. If you enjoy singing, if you enjoy humming, if you find yourself nodding your head or into music, then you're musical, and you're going to enjoy an experience like Songbridge, because we're going to help coach that out of you and let you come out to play with your own musicality.
It's important that people know that they can put aside their judgment and, as you mentioned earlier, their self-doubt. And I've heard some songwriters come into town, and they're actually professional songwriters that write songs for the artists who are the real singers. And these songwriters, they sound like me and you. They sound like average people who just wrote some song. And they're not perfect, but they sold songs. We're not looking to sell songs as much as we're looking to fill a cavity that we might have.
Right. Yeah, if you want to sell your song, we're not going to say you can't, but it's like that's not the goal. The number one goal is have a great time, hear yourself in a recording, hear yourself writing a song so that you claim that space in the world and feel good about it. Like you would painting a picture or writing a poem. Music is a different art form, so we have to do it a bit more in a community, and we do it in a space that's safe and that's fun. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. So Dave, I was going to ask you, what kind of person do you envision taking the Songbridge course?
Great question. My initial thought was thinking of adults, even couples. I know we talked about making it so that if a couple signed up together, they could just do one price and they'd be able to share that. I thought of people who had been thinking about making music their whole life, or maybe a frustrated experience with music, and then this is their chance to reawaken.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. The point is, songwriting is universal. I believe everybody can write a song if they want, and it's just having the space. And so
I envision some teamwork happening too. So
absolutely.
So I feel like the musicians that do take the course are going to help the non-musicians.
Right, absolutely.
Every musician I've ever met loves to share what they know and is generally pretty helpful.
Totally. Well, why do it as a class, as an experience with multiple people instead of private one-on-one? Like, I've done a lot of private one-on-one coaching and worked with singers. I've also done a lot of group work, and one of the things I love about group work is we all start to hear similar voices in our heads or similar situations, and we help each other be stronger together. So I think that's the point of showing up, and you think, oh, I'm not as good a musician as somebody, and it's not about that. It's about they might help hear something in your playing that you don't hear. Chris and I a moment ago were working on some piano recordings, and he was like, oh, the piano's a little loud, play a little softer. And that's great feedback. Like, I don't take any issue with that. We want to hear ways that we can improve in a group. And then when it comes to making your song, I'm going to have my friend Jonathan Plum, who's an expert working with artists, and I've worked with a lot of artists, and we're going to be there to make sure it's a great experience and you're going to have fun along the way.
Songbridge to me is all about perspective, and we're all going to have different perspective. All of the people that enroll in the course are going to have a different perspective, and we want to support that freedom.
Yeah, you know, musical taste is just a unique concoction that you have and that I have. We all have our own unique musical taste. Some people are more into lyrics and even what kinds of lyrics. We could talk about all those nuances, but in the end of the day, it's about you and what you like. And you might have to write a couple songs before you know what you like. But we're going to start with one, and you're going to get that experience, and you're going to feel something, I promise.
So Dave, you did your demonstration earlier on the piano. Can they use other instruments?
Absolutely, yeah. Any instrument is fair game. I've written songs just, you know, tapping my body to just try and get a feeling. You could also, of course, play guitar. How many songs are written on guitar, right? Millions. Piano, any tonal instrument's great, but you know, if you play a saxophone or a clarinet or something, that might be a place where you tease out some melodies or tease out some ideas. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're singing that melody. Sort of like similar to your Beatles example, right? Like they started with a melody, and sometimes they sang the melody and it became lyrical, and sometimes it became another instrument, like a French horn or a violin or something. So part of being in the songwriting space is just allowing your muse to play. Just kind of, where do we go?
Absolutely. So would it be smart for someone to come in with maybe some preset chord progressions? Like, will you give them some ideas of here's some common chord progressions that people use for some pretty famous songs?
Sure. Any prep people want to do ahead of time is totally fair game. And once people sign up, I'll send out a couple PDFs with some information about things to think about. But no homework's required before we start. It's also fine to enter as a blank slate, and we'll be doing some exercises specifically around lyric writing and how to find your lyrical way. And it's fine to be a blank canvas in that situation. I think, you know, you don't want to show up feeling like you've got a bazillion things you got to do before you're ready. The point is you are ready right now. That's what I want to make sure people understand. I didn't think I was ready when I started writing songs. I thought, oh, I have to be special somehow. I've got to have a drug problem, or no, I don't know. I've got to be tortured artist.
Don't do it.
Yeah, right. I thought I had to be a tortured artist to be a songwriter, and it's like I realized, oh, actually no. I just have to like spend some time doing it and let the music come out. And part of it too, looking at your taste, you already know what you like, and you're going to start to find certain areas that pull you naturally, and you're going to be comfortable there because you already know that you're in love with that part of the music. So don't worry about homework before the course. There will be some homework in the course, but you know, again, with gentle encouragement. The whole idea is if it becomes too much, we want you to let me know, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, Dave will get you unstuck.
Exactly. That's my favorite thing to do, get people unstuck.
For what it's worth, going back to your point of you have a song in you and you're ready.
Right.
I mean, I can think back, honestly, everyone that's watching this should know that my first song was called A Dog Named Bill, and it was a heavy metal guitar song. So figure out how that's going to go.
Oh, I want to hear that. Do you have it?
I still remember it, but I don't have a recording.
Okay, well maybe you play it for me one day.
Yeah, it's not good, but it's how we start.
Well, it's not good now because you're looking back at it through a lens, but at that moment, how did it feel at that moment when you wrote it?
I was quite proud.
Yeah.
Especially when I got to record it on, you know, multi-track recording.
Right.
Me singing and playing guitar.
Right.
Yeah, fantastic.
One of the things that's interesting about old recordings is as they age, we have a different relationship to them. And so we might think one way or another, we might think, oh, wow, that was actually better than I thought it was. Or we might think, oh, actually, I'm glad I haven't listened to that in a while. But the thing is, other people will have different experience than you do. Like I host an open mic in Mercer Island, and I really encourage artists to not give any caveats or excuses when they play. It's the thing that takes away all the joy from someone else. And one of the things about sharing music, which I have a whole module on sharing, we talk about making sure you don't bring your own perspective into what the audience is experiencing. Because if they're loving it, and then you tell them, oh, by the way, this sucks, or I didn't practice very much, or, oh, my voice sounds terrible today, or I'm not happy, you've now ruined it for that audience member. And the audience is like loving it, you know? Yeah. So I think that's a really important part of these old recordings is maybe your dog named Bill, my dog named Bill?
A dog named Bill.
A dog named Bill. Maybe A Dog Named Bill is actually a sleeper hit in certain circles.
I'll tell you what it is. It's 100% nostalgia today.
Okay.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
If that's the only song I ever wrote, I would never forget it.
Yeah, like what a cool thing for legacy, right? To like have a song that you wrote to let people know a little slice of your artistic life. I mean, it's just like a painting or a book or anything you might have created. I think that music can be like that too.
I hope it gives a viewer, anybody who's watching, a little access to some freedom, knowing that you can get away with a title like A Dog Named Bill for your first song. And so there's really no limits. There's really no limits. You should just cut loose and have a good time writing your song.
Yeah, so I want to talk about AI. So there's this thing about AI where people are all in a Twitter about songs being written for you. You can enter in your lyrics and the song will be written. And I think, why would I want to cheat myself out of the experience of writing a song? It's so fun and so inspiring and emotionally rewarding and all these other things that you'll experience when you write a song, that for me it's like hiring a robot to go golfing for me, or hiring someone to do the Sudoku puzzle on Sunday morning.
For sure.
I want to do the puzzle. Don't show me the answers yet, right? And so yes, you can make music prefab, and you've been able to do that, by the way, for decades. I mean, you can go and buy a loop library of music that's pre-cut, prefab, produced really well, and you can make amazing music right on your computer with someone else's work.
But you don't get the same
You don't get the feeling of when I sit here and I play a simple chord, I start to feel something, and then I play another chord and I feel something else. And so this is the thing that AI can't do that. I'm sorry.
Here's an important point to note on that.
Yeah.
I've done some of my favorite things because I made a mistake.
Right.
I made a mistake and I went, wow, that chord is not one I would have chosen, but I love it.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen with AI.
Never. No. In fact, the problem now is it makes less and less mistakes. Like initially when it first happened, there were a lot of artists checking it out and going, ooh, I love that I can put in this cue and it does something really weird and stupid like I wouldn't have done, and now I can like think maybe that's inspiring me to go into a new direction. Fine. And if you use AI, fine. But the point is, don't cheat yourself. Enjoy the art and the making of the art, because that's the point.
Yeah.
It'd be like, do you want AI to eat your gourmet dinner for you? You know, like no, you want to enjoy the food.
Yeah.
So
enjoy the process.
that's my rant on AI these days.
I think it's fair.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Hope to see you in Songbridge.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you, Songbridge, writing some songs with you and helping you uncover your own artistry.
Songbridge will help you unleash the song that you have inside of you right now.
So I hope you'll join Songbridge with Chris, myself, and Jonathan, and you'll find your muse and enjoy the whole process of writing a song. So Songbridge starts in April, so there's not much time. So sign up now and let's get talking about your songwriting journey.
We can't wait to meet you.